Well, good morning, and welcome to the Wednesday Pastor Check-In with Pastor Brian. That's me. It's a joy to be with you on this Wednesday morning as we begin somewhat of a mini-series during the Wednesday Pastor Check-In as we read through, or think through, talk through, 5 Marks of a Methodist by Steve Harper. And this is a book that is sort of based on John Wesley's book, The Character of a Methodist, and sort of helps us think about it in modern terms, or contemporary terms, we might say. But there are 5 marks that make a Methodist, and we're going to go through these 1 week at a time. And before I get started, I want to let you know that we do have a few of these copies of the book outside of the office door on the table there, and you are more than welcome. We've had some, just kind of stored back, and so you are more than free to come pick up one of those. And you can read along with us. But there's no need to. It's a small book, and I just thought it was a good topic as we have come off of Christmas, and before long we will be into Lent and Easter. It's a good time in between to think about what we're about, and in particular the Methodist version of Christianity. I'm going to keep it fairly brief this morning. I've got a canker sore in the side of my mouth that's bothering me. But I did want to make sure to get this video out for all of you to be able to watch together. And we'll maybe spend a little bit longer next week with the material. But the 5 marks, going down them, are 1, a Methodist loves God. 2, a Methodist rejoices in God. 3, a Methodist gives thanks. 4, a Methodist prays constantly. And 5, a Methodist loves others. Now, a lot of these you might say, well, of course we do that. We would do that if we weren't a Methodist. But what I love about this book is it takes us through an approach to Christianity through a Wesleyan lens, through John Wesley, who is our founder, which centers a lot around grace and being made holy. And that's sort of what's central to the Methodist understanding to begin with. And so when we look at the first mark, a Methodist loves God, and we see the foundational scripture, this is sort of what we say is foundational to Christianity. And that is looking at Matthew 22, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law?" He replied, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment." So, if we were to distill Christianity down to one verse, that might be it. I don't think it's helpful to do that because we miss everything else, the breadth of our tradition. But if we have to have one thing at the forefront as we live and act and move and breathe, it's that we're supposed to love God. However, what Wesley points out and what Steve Harper kind of points out in this first one is that even before our recognition of our commission to love God with our whole heart, we get a recognition before that it was God who loved us first. And in fact, it is God's loving us first, God making us and calling us good before we could even recognize our existence. It's that love that came first that allows us to be able to love one another and to love God. It is the enabling force for our love. And so I think when Jesus says the question so often in the Gospels, "Do you love me?" It's not only a question of are you acting and showing your love? Are you showing your love towards others and towards Christ? He's also asking, do you recognize how much I love you? How much you were created in my image? I love that. And I love the way that Steve Harper draws us to Eugene Peterson's words here in saying that really this is about saying the first thing in our life is God. It's not that it's a list of priorities, but rather that God is the subject of our life. God is the foundation for our life. It really isn't a matter of what's at the top of our list, but rather what is the list even about? Our lives are about God. If we don't have a sense of of who God is, all encompassing in our lives, then we won't ever be able to get it right, and we won't ever be able to reach that true perfection in love that Christ calls us towards, and which is part of the Methodist tradition. So when we talk about this seemingly simple rule, a Methodist loves God, it's really about remembering and recognizing God's love, which came first and which enables us to love and to love others. And so that's really what this is about. Wesley writes these words: God is the joy of our heart and the desire of our soul, which is constantly crying out, "Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is none upon the earth that I desire but you. My God and my all, you are the strength of my heart and my portion forever." This is something we could ponder and talk about forever. But it's really what's at the core of our faith. That God would be our all in all. And so I want to close today. Often my prayer is, in regards to this tenet of Christianity, of Methodism, is rather simple. That I would continue to recognize God's grace in my life, and that over and over and over again, that grace would fall afresh on me, and to change me, and to move me, and to mold me. And so I'm going to end today singing a song which you may or may not know, and if you don't, I'll make sure we have the simple lyrics at the bottom. But it's called "Spirit of the Living God," and we'll just sing one verse together. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. Melt me, mold me, fill me, use me. Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on me. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying well. And I hope you're finding those ways to continue to draw yourself closer to God, or better yet, allow God to draw you closer to God's presence. Drop a line to let us know that you're okay. If you got any prayer concerns, you can be sure to let us know there, or in private. We're continuing to pray for you and think about you. If you scroll down on our page, you'll see our most recent COVID-19 update. In essence, we're keeping online for worship through February, though we will be opening up for some groups. And so you can find information about that there, or likely in your email as well. Good to see you, and you take care.